if she has this material, which she has, proving that the tax business on her house was all in order, she could make that public. She says she's not inclined to do that. She wants to make it a wider issue as to, why should I be asked to reveal my tax affairs when people in the Conservative Party who are considerably richer are not revealing their tax affairs.
Now, the questions over the sale of Angela Rayner's council house aren't going away. Stockport Council will now review suggestions that Labour's deputy leader committed tax or electoral fraud. We're joined by Times Radio's Adam Boulton, who's covering for Matt Chorley today. Morning, Adam.
Good morning. I'm going to try and put the boring bits back.
Never. I do not believe that. These questions aren't going away for Angela Rayner,
Well,
are
they're not
they?
going away. I mean, they're certainly being kept alive by Conservative critics. It was a deputy chairman of the Tory party who complained again. Now, we have to bear in mind that initial inquiries after this story came out in the Tory peer Michael Ashcroft's commissioned biography of Angela Rayner, the council and the tax authorities and the police all said they'd looked into this and they didn't find anything. Now the council and the police are going back. Angela Rayner said she took tax advice at the time, which she has shown to the authorities. She's declined to publish it on the grounds, I'll show you mine if you show me yours, and she thinks Tory should reveal things. No doubt about it, the Conservatives and Conservative supporting newspapers are trying to keep this story alive. Whether it actually has legs, because what it all comes down to is where she lived 15 years ago when she got married, and obviously her then husband, Mark Rayner, had a different house from what she had. I think it's open to question, and it's quite an interesting contrast that people are talking about whether or not she may have not paid about £1,000 worth of tax. Yet what have we got on the same day? Unexpected honours list with a former Egyptian minister, Mohammed Mansour, given a knighthood, not unconnected to giving £5 million to the Tory party. And we've got four other Conservative MPs being given honours, including Philip Davis, GB News presenter, husband of Esther McVey, a cabinet minister. He's got a knighthood. So, people will make up their own minds whether they think any of this amounts to anything.
Before we talk a bit more about the honours list, some people will say it's a relatively small amount of money that Angela Rayner is potentially being accused of not paying £1,000. There's some discussion about whether she was living, as you say, with her husband at the time or in a separate house. She could just release documents, let this all go away. So why doesn't she?
Well, God, have you got any documents about a property you sold 15 years ago? I mean...
Well, probably.
Well,
if I'm not
one of the suggestions was that she's had tax advice recently
it's a matter of record what electoral register she's on, so she's clearly not making any particular secret about that. She could, if she has this material, which she has, proving that the tax business on her house was all in order, she could make that public. She says she's not inclined to do that. She wants to make it a wider issue as to, why should I be asked to reveal my tax affairs when people in the Conservative Party who are considerably richer are not revealing their tax affairs. So she is making a political fight out of this. Angela Rayner, is a fighter, and it's no doubt about it. It is causing some embarrassment for the Labour Party. But then again, big picture in the Times today of Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner together at the local government launch, perfectly happily with each other. I mean, Angela Rayner is an absolute target for attack because, working class woman, single parent at the age of 16, no qualifications, who's come a very long way in politics. And, she is someone who, in her appearance, attracts attention. And, that's why Michael Ashcroft commissioned a book about her. And, she is fighting her corner and saying that she believes she's been A, done nothing wrong, and B, she's being treated unfairly.
Let's talk about the Easter honours list. It's not something that we normally say. Why now?
Well, we do get, actually, occasional announcements of honours, political honours, from prime ministers that don't come at the time, as you say, of the King's birthday honours list or the New Year's honours list. I think, frankly, this clearly looks like it's connected to the electoral cycle, that there was quite a good chance that there would be an election in May, and the Prime Minister has got this out of the way. And of course, after the election, if he loses it, we can expect that he would then have a resignation honours list as well. I mean, people want these things. That's the truth of it. And Sir Mohammed Mansour, he's been rewarded. 2 women have been rewarded who are, I think one could see, as genuine public servants. Harriet Baldwin, who's now the chair of the Treasury Select Committee, and Tracy Crouch, former sports minister. Philip Davis, again, very outspoken, as I say, on GBU News, and Mark Spencer, who has been an agriculture minister, a farming minister. So, it's the way it goes. It's a political award. The Labour Party are saying Rishi Sunak wouldn't be doing this unless he thought he'd be soon leaving office. The Liberal Democrats are describing it as toxic. At least there are not any peerages on the list.
Let's talk about the story on the front page of the Times today. Clean your own mess, Thames Water told, not least by Michael Gove, the community's secretary. It is a mess with Thames Water, isn't it? I'm just wondering how the government can unpick this and get it sorted. Or maybe it's just going to fall to the next government, potentially a Labour government.
Well, it's going to fall to the next government after that. I mean, even at the best estimates, they're saying it will take decades to clean up the Thames Water system. I think Michael Gove wanted to send out a signal that, as it were, he was on the side of the people. He's had a setback recently, having to water down his proposals to get rid of leasehold. It suits governments to blame Thames Water. It suits the present management of Thames Water to saying it wasn't us, it was the previous previous management. And the truth of the matter is that the British water system is in trouble because we have a combined sewage system which combines sewage and water overflow. And that means, as of design, it is going to overflow. And because there are more of us putting sewage into the system, and there's been some heavy rain recently, things are overflowing more and more often. And the only way that this will be stopped for good would be to build 2 parallel sewage systems, and nobody's talking about doing that.
No, can't even begin to think about the expense of that. Before you go, Adam, I want to ask you about this YouGov poll, which is in the Times, today, showing working class voters are deciding to vote for reform, or they were voting Tory, they're now looking to reform. I mean, we keep hearing about Reform UK and the challenge. Is this just another example chipping away, and it's a real headache for the Tories ahead of the election?
Yeah, working class voters, people might quarrel over what the definition of working class voter is, but clearly what this shows is, if you go deeper, it shows that the Conservatives have a problem, and they have a particular problem in the Red Wall, where there were a large number of working class voters who, of course, voted for Boris Johnson in 2019. If they are peeling away from the Conservatives, it makes much more likely that many of those Red Wall seats, something like 90 of them, may go back to Labour, who held them previously. And clearly, Reform is going to make much of this. The other people who are going to make much of this are Conservative MPs who are sympathetic to Reform, who will say, and I think we got Danny Kruger commenting on it today, who will say, well, if our voters are going to Reform, maybe we should go towards Reform as well. But of course, there are other Conservatives who will resist that idea bitterly, and thereby is Rishi Sunak's problem. He's got a divided party.
Absolutely. Adam, always good to speak to you. Thank you so much. That's Times Radio's Adam Boulton.
Thanks for all of your messages this morning. John says, on the issue of Angela Rayner and publishing her tax advice, I don't seem to remember Nadeem Zahawi publishing his advice when he claimed he was innocent and then paid £3 million. Rather, his lawyers were threatening anyone asking. And lots of you talking about Thames Water as well this morning. Here's Andrew on WhatsApp. On Thames Water, and indeed others too, was the Tories' privatisation plans effectively a one-way street? So much money has been taken out, so much put in as subsidies, yet we're almost literally in this mess today. Renationalising seems the logical solution, but seemingly unaffordable or impossible, ? Says Andrew in Ledbury.
You didn't read Peter's, did you? Peter's has just come in as well. I'm old enough to remember that when water companies were privatised, we were told taxpayers couldn't fit the bill for the replacement of the Victorian pipes. 30 years on, all that's happened is some people have made a lot of money, but the pipes are still the same.